The materials I have for you are just a pencil. You could use a marker if you have one. I've got an eraser for mistakes, and I also have some colored pencils as well. So the project we're going to do today is a ribbon project that's really going to focus on shading and value. I'm going to show you guys how to draw a ribbon so it looks like it's really turning and floating through space, and try and get a really good 3D effect with it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch a really exaggerated wavy line, kind of like drawing the letter S over and over again all the way across my paper. You really want those curves to be big and kind of far apart. Okay, simple, right? So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw where the ribbon is going to be turning on itself. So anytime there's a curved line like this, the edge of the curve, I'm going to draw a straight line down towards me. And every time there's a turn like that, I'm going to draw a straight line down, again, towards me, all the same direction. These lines are kind of parallel. I'm also going to do one, let's see, I'm going to do one here where it's turning. And I'm also going to do one up here at the top. And I'm going to do one here, just wherever the line is turning on itself. The next thing I'm going to draw is some parallel lines. So if you don't remember what parallel means, it's just two lines that are going the same direction with each other. They would never touch. So for example, if these two lines were together, these lines are parallel because they're going the same direction, but these lines are not, because if they were to keep going, they'd run into each other. So I'll get rid of those. So I'm going to start right here because it's going to be easier to see. So the line has to be parallel with the line above it. So if I trace this line with my pencil, I can feel it curve down a little bit and then curve up. So when I draw this line down here, I'm going to curve down a little bit and curve up. The secret is making sure that these lines are the same distance away from each other the whole time. So I'm going to do the same here. You guys can see that I'm not trying to draw the line in one motion. I am sketching this line. And I'm going to do the same here. So this one is a really curvy line. So it's going to curve down first and then curve up. So curving around. And then curving up to the right. This one's a little shorter. There we go, and there's a ribbon. It goes really fast. I'm going to draw a couple of them, I think. I'm going to do another one in the background. So when I draw, I'm just going to draw, but when I run into the ribbon I already have, I'm just going to stop. Oops, sorry, jiggle the camera a little. And I'm going to repeat that process. So wherever there's a curve, I'm going to draw a line on the edge. Be one here. And then I'll draw my parallel line. Oh, that one was not very good. Curve down first and then up. Oop, I've got that one on the wrong side. It's okay if you make a mistake, it's no big deal. That's why I always sketch in pencil first. All right, so I'm gonna leave it at 2, but you could add as many ribbons as you want. Something that I like to do is pick one ribbon to do in color and then do the rest of the ribbons in black and white. So I'm going to go ahead and outline my ribbons with marker right now, and then I'm going to fill in my background. with some black marker. You don't have to use marker if you don't have it, but you can use whatever materials you have. This would look even greater with more ribbons, but I'm going to show you the next step, which is the value in the shading part. I find that colored pencils work the best for this, but if you have other materials you want to try, by all means, go ahead and give that a whirl. I think I'm going to make my ribbon green. So I've got my colored pencil, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a base color down for my ribbon. So I'm going to go ahead and just really lightly fill in my ribbon. Now, if you've had a class with me before, you know that I've talked about something called the tooth of the paper before. So I said if you look at paper under a microscope, you would see that it's not actually smooth. It has a lot of pits and crags in it, and that's what actually holds all the color to the paper. If you press too hard with your colored pencil when you're coloring, you could fill in that tooth way too fast and you won't be able to layer your color, which is really what we want. We want to do layers of color and build up our shadows so that they look nice and dark compared to the rest of our highlights. So I'm just going to keep going on and filling in my ribbon with my base color. Almost there. Okay. All right, so there's my base layer down. I'm going to go ahead and choose another green color, maybe a darker version of that color. I'm going to go with this one, I think. So when I'm doing my values and my shading, I'm going to think about where the light is hitting my ribbon, or more or less where the shadows are. So I know whenever the ribbon folds on itself, that it's blocking the light. So that means there has to be a shadow here where it's overlapping. So if my light is coming from this way and hitting here, this side would be bright, but this side wouldn't. So when I'm shading, I'm also going to think of the direction of the ribbon. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting some of my darker green here, and I'm doing it in curves because my ribbon is curved. And I'm still coloring kind of lightly, so I don't fill up my tooth all the way just yet. And as I move away from here, as I get to a place where it'll be lighter again, I'm lessening my pressure. I'm not pressing as hard. So here where I know it's going to be darker, I press harder. And as I move away from that area, I press less. Okay. So I'm going to do that whenever I think there needs to be a shadow. So I know that this is folding over this one. This part is underneath. So that's where I'm going to put my shadow. And you guys can see I'm bringing this shadow kind of far. I'm going to do one here. I'm always doing it on the part that is underneath, the one that's below the one on top. I think I might put a little shadow right here where it's bending as well. If you think that there might be a shadow in a place because of how the ribbon is bending, by all means, use your judgment and put a shadow where you think it belongs. I might put a little bit of a shadow here. Okay, so I've done one layer of shadow and that looks okay, but I think I want to take it even further. I might go for another color, like maybe a blue or a purple. I'm going to go for blue, I think, and really start to build those up. You really want to build contrast or opposites working together, so having those darks and lights. So really making those shadows pop and really dark is really going to make this feel like it's bending even more. You can even see just adding this blue here compared to here, how different this looks by doing just that little extra step. And I can go back with my original color, which I've kept right here, and start to brighten that up. Now that I've got my shadows where I want, I can kind of layer up my color so it's nice and bright. Now, another thing I can do if I'm feeling really ambitious is I can take a lighter color, like maybe a yellow, wherever I want the light to look brightest. So maybe I'll plop in some yellow where I want there to be a highlight. And you can do this with whatever colors you like. You just want to plan and think about what color is going to be my brightest color, what color is going to be my medium color, and what color is going to be my darkest color. It's all about letting the colors layer on top of each other and interact. Okay, so if I really want to take my shading even one step further, I can use something like a complementary color to really deepen those shadows. Now my ribbon is mostly green, so my complement, or what would be across from green on the color wheel, would be red. And you can find a color wheel online, but if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. I'm going to just use a little bit of red, really deepen those shadows, really just on the edges to really make those shadows look a little bit darker. Purple would work really well for this too. And I'm not using a whole lot, just a small amount. Okay, so that colored ribbon is done. I could do a different color in the background on my other ribbon, but I think I'm going to use just black and white on that one. But you can design your project however you like. But I'm going to do it the same way. Even if I'm just doing one color, I'm going to make sure that I have really strong shadows where it overlaps. And as I move away, using less pressure so that it fades away gradually. Alright guys, so that's my finished project. I think it'd be really cool to do a really big one of these with lots of ribbons going everywhere with all kinds of colors. I can't wait to see what you guys make and see how far you can push this technique I just showed you. Take care everyone.